And I think he'd like to be. I think he wants to come in and he wants to trade with us and he wants to make a lot of money for Russia. And I think that's great. That's what I like.
In the old days, they would say, do not adjust your set. You have heard that correctly. Yes, Donald Trump stating that things are going well with Putin and all he wants to do is make money for Russia. And I think that will be great. We are witnessing another reversal of epic proportion. It is November the 3rd, 2025. In addition to that, you can see on the thumbnail and the title, ladies and gentlemen, it's all connected. Of course, the war in Ukraine, and we have updates on that. And in addition to that, this Venezuela conflict situation is absolutely connected to a similar narrative. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. We appreciate each and every one of you. Now, we need to start here. Donald Trump speaking over the last 24 hours on 60 Minutes on CBS. In addition to that, he was speaking on Air Force One. You need to hear a couple of these statements to verify what I'm sharing with you. He reiterated that the United States does not plan to transfer Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine. And then he stammered a little bit. He also made it very clear that the United States is not involved in discussions regarding frozen Russian assets. He declared that Putin and Xi Jinping are tough and smart leaders, and they're not to be trifled with. He confirmed, as you've already seen, and I will show you more, that Putin wants to do business with the U.S. He's going to make big money for Russia, and I think we can end this war in a few months. And he also says there is no last straw. Sometimes you just have to let them fight. And for Putin, this is a hard war. Many of his soldiers have died. The bottom line is the focus and the intention was all on Putin. Very few reference statements to Ukraine. So we are witnessing that reversal again. Let's jump straight to it with cut one here. This is Putin. Hey, it's going good.
It is working with Putin, I think. I did different with him because we don't do very much business with Russia, for one thing. You know, he's not like somebody that buys a lot from us because of foolishness. And I think he'd like to be. I think he wants to come in and he wants to trade with us and he wants to make a lot of money for Russia. And I think that's great. That's what I like.
Can we get it done in a couple of months, do you think?
I think we're going to get it done, yeah. I think he really wants to do business with the U.S. But it did work with India and it did work with Pakistan and it did work with 60% of those countries.
What worked? What worked? That would be my follow-up question if I was doing the interview. You cannot compare Pakistan and India or any other nation on the planet with Putin and Russia. It's not that simple. Now, he goes on, he's talking on Air Force One. You know, there's no final straw. We're just going to let them fight.
There's no final straw. Sometimes you have to let it fight out, and fighting it out. And it's been a tough war for Putin. He's lost a lot of soldiers, maybe 1 million. That's a lot of soldiers. And it's been tough for Ukraine. It's been tough on both. Sometimes you have to let it, just get fought out,
Okay, listen, I'm trying my best to stay right, apolitical, and share truth the best I can. And I hope that you're finding my channel as a platform where I just don't go so politically divisive. I really want to try to bring people together. But you can see the intention there is, it's been tough war on Putin. Lost 1 million soldiers. Oh, yeah. It's been tough on Ukraine as well. There's no equality. And it's obvious to see. I'm a native English American speaker, and I get the talk there. It's easy to see that focus is on Vladimir Putin. Now, in the 60 Minutes interview, was also asked about Putin and Xi Jinping.
Who's tougher to deal with, Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping?
Both tough, both smart, both look, they're both very strong leaders. These are people not to be toyed with. These are people you have to take very serious. They're not walking in saying, oh, isn't it a beautiful day? Look how beautiful the sun is shining. It's so nice. These are serious people. These are people that are tough, smart leaders.
And that is the truth. Putin, Xi Jinping are tough, smart leaders. That is why you cannot deal with them the same way you deal with smaller nations, and no disrespect to smaller nations. You have to deal with them differently. It is not just drop an edict and everything will follow suit. Now, on the thumbnail and the title of the video today, we're talking about the interconnectedness of Venezuela, and you're going to hear this now from Sebastian Gorka. He's an assistant to the President of the United States for counterterrorism, and another statement from Putin. And then I've got some pretty interesting news coming out of the UK, India, and believe it or not, Vucic in Serbia. So let's start here with Venezuela. This is Sebastian Gorka. He's on Newsmax talking to somebody. He says the U.S. military buildup off the coast of Venezuela isn't just about drugs. Pay attention to this really closely. Two statements I'm going to have video for you. It's also driven by Trump admin's belief that Iran's tentacles go straight through Caracas and Venezuela. I remind you before you watch these clips that Iran has strategic development and relationships with Venezuela. Russia has strategic and military relationships, economic, with Iran. Russia has strategic and military economic relationships with Venezuela. It's all connected. China, the list can go on and on and on. Here's clip. This is Sebastian Gorka.
And it is primarily about the drugs, Rob, but it's not just about the drugs. Yeah. I can't talk about the classified aspects of this, but in open source right now, your viewers can go online and they can search for the connections of that regime, the Maduro regime, to other bad actors, other states, other nations who, for example, have been plotting to target members of this administration, including the president. Iran's tentacles into this hemisphere go straight through Caracas and Venezuela. So yes, drugs primarily, the safety of Americans, but it is far more complicated than that because it involves regimes that are antithetical to America at their core.
Regimes, and I don't want to break down every word the man said, but that's the reality. There is concern that there is anti-American parties already inside the USA that have come through Venezuela, and Venezuela is the pathway for regimes like Iran, and could we say Russia or others, terrorist organizations, to come against the United States. These are all connected stories. Here's Trump himself speaking about it.
Are we going to war against Venezuela?
I doubt it. I don't think so, but they've been treating us very badly, not only on drugs. They've dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country that we didn't want. People from prisons, they emptied their prisons into our country. They also, if you take a look, they emptied their mental institutions and their insane asylums into the United States of America because Joe Biden was the worst president in the history of our country.
All right, so there you have it. Look beyond the political rhetoric. Look beyond the mental institution and the deprived and all of that. What you are seeing, if you listen to the security analyst, counterterrorism analyst, is the United States believes that Venezuela is being used as a pawn to bring enemies of the state against the United States. That's the fact. And that is why there's so much connection, and the same narrative applies globally right now. Now, the last couple of things that we need to look at is this. UK coming to bat. Okay, no Tomahawks from the U.S., and they would be phenomenal to put in the mixture of those drone attacks. But Storm Shadow, UK sending more Storm Shadow missiles to strike against Russia for Ukraine. The number of missiles delivered is unknown, but the stockpile should be sufficient for the winter. That's what the information is stating. How many that is, I don't know, but that could be a significant number. Additionally, remember, India. I told you They're going to continue purchasing Russian oil because India will always do what's best for India. That's not my quote. That's the direct quote out of Modi, the foreign minister, economic advisor. It's the same narrative. They have a lot of people and a lot of infrastructure. Indian imports of Russian oil increased to approximately 1.48 million barrels per day in October compared to 1.44 in September. And finally, Serbia. Vucic, pro-Ukraine? Serbia cannot refuse gas. There are no alternatives. This is Vucic. He was interviewed this weekend. So we're going to use Russian gas. But he then said, you need to go ask Zelensky which Balkan countries have provided the most help to Ukraine through financial and humanitarian aid, and the answer may surprise you. Vucic stating that Serbia has provided the most humanitarian financial aid through this almost 4-year war. And then he made a statement that Russian military and analysts are paying attention to. He said, our warehouses are full of ammunition and we are producing more, especially mortar shells. We produce more ammunition than France. And I have proposed to our friends in the EU to purchase all of our weapons, all of our supply, and then sell it where you want to, i.e. Ukraine. So all kind of shifts of narratives happening over this weekend. This week will prove to be critical as we are watching Pokrovsk, we're watching Venezuela, we're seeing supply, we're seeing strikes on infrastructure both in Ukraine and in Russia. It is getting colder, you name it, but we'll be here for you. Watching a few things right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. You guys be blessed.